that regardless of our background, our qualifications or lack of qualifications, we can take the holy name. So what does the holy name do for us? You know, it takes time to chant, it takes an investment. Those who are chanting have this experience. You have to find some time, you have to become regular, you have to set everything else aside and just focus on calling out the names. Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
We all know the value of meditation, how it can bring some peace of mind in our very hectic lives. However, getting the mind to be quiet, it's like getting a nice young child to be quiet. These boys are exceptionally quiet right here. Yes, they are. Very good. But many children, I'm sure not these children, but many children, I'm sure not your children, would tend to be a little bit active and restless. And this is what the mind is like when you're trying to meditate, isn't it? Has anyone had this experience? You just want to make your mind quiet for a little while, and it lasts a short time, and then, oh yes, I have to keep bringing it back. So chanting engages the senses. It engages the sense of touch if you're using a mala, engages the sense of hearing by repeating and hearing the sound vibration. The voice is engaged. We can look at a picture of Krishna, we can offer some incense to Krishna. All the senses can be engaged in this meditative process. So instead of trying to keep the mind quiet, we give the mind positive activity in which it can become occupied. So this is why Nityananda Prabhu is selling the holy name so inexpensively. Just a little faith. And not faith that is dogmatic, like you have to, okay, now I believe in Krishna. No. Nor faith that is like absolute. All right, I'm absolutely certain it's Krishna. Just a little preliminary faith, a Tao Shraddha in the Sanskrit. A Tao is preliminary, a little bit, just a little bit. That's enough to gain entrance in the marketplace. Then it's up to us. I come from a Christian tradition, and my family was mildly religious, not very much, and all regulative principles were not observed in our house. And so, in coming from this background as a Chandala, as a lower-born person, I was quite amazed to experience how accessible the Maha Mantra makes this great knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and the Vedas. Even if we don't have knowledge or money or strength or good birth, Nityananda Prabhu doesn't look at any of that. So he's offering this chanting as a way to very quickly progress in our spiritual life. So my question for you is this: how do you feel about this practice of bhakti? Again, you don't have to believe, you don't have to belong, you simply have to practice. And by that practice, then one gets experience. So who has had experience of benefits from chanting? Anyone like to share? Shamananda Prabhu? Anyone need some what? You were a robotics major right here in Lansing, right?
In Ann Arbor.
Oh, Ann Arbor. Oh, excuse me.
The effect of chanting on me?
Yes. What is the benefit that you have gained from this practice? Let's speak loudly, everyone.
Yeah. Maybe freedom from some.
Little freedom from some desires.
Little freedom from anxiety.
On the path. Some settlement. Some joy. And lot of service, purpose, value.
Service, purpose, value. How does chanting connect with getting a purpose in life?
Like I know who I am and I know what my goal is. And I know how can I serve him.
Beautiful, thank you.
And
so
chanting helps to, if I'm able to chant nicely, then I'm able to serve nicely. It makes the service effective.
Wonderful. So along with the chanting, then there comes some philosophical framework for life also.
Yes.
Very good, thank you. Yes, Lord Chaitanya himself taught this. Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairava Chandrikavataranam Vidyavadu Jivanam. This is how Lord Chaitanya described the beauty of chanting. It's like the full moon, the waxing moon. It's like a lotus that blooms under the full moon. Our hearts open, and Vidya Vadhu. Do you know what Vadhu means?
Bride.
What?
Bride.
The bride, yes. And Vidya?
No.
Right. Vidya Vadhu, the wife of knowledge. So we may have knowledge of Vedanta, we may have knowledge of Atman, Brahman, but just like without the bride, the groom cannot be happy. So in the same way, mere knowledge without bhakti, without the holy name, is incomplete. Vidyavadhu jivanam, and as the wife gives life to the husband, so the holy name gives life to our knowledge of spiritual life. And therefore, Lord Chaitanya said it's very easy to chant. There's no hard and fast rules. You can chant anytime, any place. Even some people might say, okay, I don't want to chant Krishna, I want to chant another name. That's fine. Any name of the divine has the same effect. Ordinary sounds, ordinary names are not the same as the thing. For example, if I'm thirsty and I say water, that does not quench my thirst because the name and the thing are different. Your name, sir, is?
Pranay.
Pranay. So if I say Pranay, I'm sitting in Grand Rapids, I say Pranay, Pranay. It's not the same as sitting here with you. But spiritual sounds are absolute. So when we say the name of Krishna, Krishna is manifested right there. Of course, Krishna is always present, but by saying his name, we become conscious of his presence. So when we're talking about chanting, it is this great gift, that making Krishna accessible and in so doing enriching our spiritual experience, far beyond just merely intellectual understanding. The heart becomes engaged, the mind becomes engaged, and life takes on meaning and purpose that was absent before. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about how the ordinary life is different from the spiritual life. Yanisha sarva bhutanam yasyam jagrati bhutani, yasyam jagrati sarvani, yanisha pashuto mune. What is night for all beings, what is night for the ordinary person, is the time of awakening for the introspective. And the time of awakening for all persons is night for the wise. It's just the difference. For example, I live in Gainesville, Florida, which is a college town, and all the students become very active around 10 p.m. and goes until 2 a.m. And 2 a.m., the bars close, they start going back to their homes. And then shortly after that, at the Hare Krishna temple, the alarms go off and the devotees get up and they start chanting. What is night for all beings is the time of awakening for the introspective. And by the time the day is over and the sun is setting, the sattvic, those in the mode of goodness, want to take rest. Right? Whereas those in the mode of passion and ignorance want to just start enjoying and partying, right? Because in fact, these hours of the day are divided like this. The hours between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. is Rajaguna. That's the time to work, very passionate, get things done. 6 p.m. until 2 a.m. is Tamaguna. That's the time, by nature, we're meant to sleep. And then 2 a.m. till 10 a.m., that's Sattva-guna. So that's the time for doing what is truly important to us, whatever that may be. Whatever we do between 2 and 10 a.m., we'll do better than we would do at other times. So what is most important to us? If you like to read, if you want to chant, if you want to study, if you want to think, anything you want to do at that time is better. If you want to sleep, is better. Just what is the priority in our lives? You see? So these sattvic hours, if we invest our sattvic time in chanting, it has a miraculous, wonderful purpose and effect. So does anyone have any questions I could help you with, or any topics you'd like to address? We could do more bhajans, we could discuss. What would you like to do?
I have a little doubt. So, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that by higher taste you can get rid of the lower taste. So, what about the neophytes or the beginners who have zero taste for the higher thing? So, how can we come out of the lower taste?
Srila Prabhupada gives the example of jaundice. The jaundice infected person has several symptoms, yellow eyes, yellow skin, but also the sense of taste is affected. And because of that, the sweet things taste very bitter. And yet the cure for jaundice is sugar. So the jaundice infected person has to ingest this bitter tasting sugar in order to get better. But after some time, taking the proper sugar medication, then the taste becomes sweet again and one is healthy. So the name of God is naturally sweet. But because of our material disease, it tastes unappealing. However, by taking that meditation regularly, in time a natural taste awakens. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhu Kabunoi. In the heart of the eternal living being, love of God is there. Shavanade Sudechite Karya Unoi. By hearing and chanting, the love naturally awakens. So it takes time and patience. It takes some investment of energy, because spirituality is not a cheap thing. It's not difficult, but it's not cheap at the same time. Right? Anyone could chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. However, if we don't invest the time in chanting, merely knowing about it won't do us any good. You remember when Mother Yashoda was tying up Krishna? Krishna had been stealing the butter, making a mess, and to restrain him, Mother Yashoda tied him to the mortar. However, the first time she put the rope around, it was 2 fingers too short, that much too short. So she tied on another rope, tried again. Again, it was too short. She thought, what is going on? Again, she tied on a rope, and again, it was too short. So those 2 fingers represent Krishna's mercy and our endeavor. But when those 2 things are together, then we can capture Krishna. So we have to act as if everything depends on us and pray as if everything depends on God. That will awaken the taste if we chant in that mood. Recognizing that, yes, I don't have a taste. Anyway, I'm going to chant and offer my time to Krishna. So we should know that when we chant Krishna's name, Krishna is pleased. The sweetest sound in any language is what?
Their name.
The sound of a person's own name, yes. Yeah. Right. We all like to hear that, especially if it's called out affectionately or by somebody we love. So similarly, Krishna enjoys hearing his name chanted. And he's not ashamed to admit it. He likes to hear it. So when we chant, we're bringing Krishna pleasure. So we just think like that. All right, my taste may or may not be there, but I'm bringing Krishna pleasure. That's good enough for me. Okay?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Okay. What else? Anything else? Yes. Will you take the mic over, please?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I was just thinking, like, it's recommended to us that we should chant every day, we should do service every day, we should listen to Bhagavatam and read Bhagavad Gita, right? So when it comes to service, if it's not done every day, I mean, I know it's better, like, to do every day, and the more you do it, the better. But if the service is not, you're not able to do the service every day, is it fine? Like, if it's put together weekly or something like that?
Right, yes. Yes, Srila Prabhupada gave a hierarchy of priorities for those on the spiritual path. The first priority is to take care of one's health. Because if our health is no good, we can't really do much of anything else. So health is most important. After that, chanting. Chanting and reading and hearing the sadhana. That's next. priority. After that is service. And then after that is reading. So I mentioned reading twice, but the point is that sadhana, our daily spiritual practice, is the next priority. So if we are in a position to do a lot of service, that's wonderful. We should engage in it. If we're not, we should make whatever we are doing an offering to Krishna. That's hard. It takes a little thoughtfulness. But how can I use whatever I'm doing, whether it's working or raising a family or anything I'm doing, how can I do it for Krishna? In the Gita, Krishna says, Yat karosi yadasnasi yat jahosi dadasiya. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you give away in charity, yat pasasi konteya, whatever austerities you perform, offer to me with love, and in that way you are renounced, you are detached. You are doing everything in the most constructive possible way. Krishna accepts our work. You know, if we're working and we earn some money, we give some donation, or we volunteer some time in Krishna's service, we have the deity of Krishna at home, we offer our food to the deity. Everything that we do can be utilized in Krishna's service. And that way our whole life becomes an offering. And we don't see, now I'm doing service, now I'm doing something else. Everything becomes part of our service. You know, Arjuna was a warrior. And in the beginning of the Gita, he didn't want to fight. And then Krishna explained to him how the fight would be done for his pleasure. And then Arjuna regained the motivation. So he was still fighting, but now instead of fighting for himself, or fighting for his family, fighting to win the kingdom, he was fighting to please Krishna. And this is the whole message of Bhagavad Gita. Whatever we do, do it for Krishna. Okay, I hope that helps. Oh, nice. Thank you. And Krishna, anything else anyone would like to discuss? How is our time, Prabhuji?
We
Have time? Okay. So we could go a few more different ways. We could do a bhajan that Srila Prabhupada wrote upon arriving in America. Would that be interesting for you?
One question.
Oh, question. Yes, sir.
So you mentioned about that, like the time between 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. that is Sattva.
Yes,
right?
sir. Yeah.
So does the time of chanting matter? Like if you do chanting in that period, the effect will be more compared to when it is done in Rajagun or other.
Chanting is good anytime, but yes, if we chant in those specific hours, it will have more effect. Again, whatever we do during those hours, we do better.
So while doing chanting, we should set everything aside, not like doing.
That's the idea. Yes. Just if we could simply go to bed early, then we can easily rise early and take advantage of those hours, especially for chanting. You know, the American way is set your alarm for the last possible minute, or wake up, drink a cup of coffee, run out the door, right? It's such a waste of human life, unfortunately. A yogi, modern yogi, it's like, okay, the sun is down, the day is winding down, let me take rest as early as possible, even 8:30, 9 o'clock. The hours of sleep we get before midnight are worth 2 hours of sleep after midnight. That is the natural time to rest because the body is tired, right? So, resting early and then rising early and then chanting it's a way to be a yogi, even in this modern day and age. We can't get chat GP to chant our rounds. We can't. Right? It would probably do it if we asked, but it wouldn't count, right? And even if chat GP chanted till the end of time, it still would not progress in spiritual life. Okay, thank you. Anything else?
How to keep ourselves motivated to go for the chanting or any spiritual endeavor?
How do we keep ourselves motivated to go for chanting or any spiritual endeavor? The two things are important. First is association. Sangha sangjayate kama. And the Gita Krishna says that you become like those with whom you associate. So if we direct our association to spiritually minded people, we'll also become spiritually minded. If we associate with materially minded people, we'll also go in that direction. So first of all, selecting our association. And secondly, this is where hearing or reading is very important. we learn from the Bhagavad Gita that this world is dukkha doshanu darshanam. It is a janma mrityu jarajati, rather. This is just a place of suffering. My mother used to really hate that aspect of Krishna conscious philosophy. She wasn't thrilled when I started chanting Hare Krishna and being a brahmachari, but she was. She wanted to know, what is your teaching? And I said, well, we're all suffering in this world. She said, what do you mean we're all suffering? I'm happy. What is your problem? And so I said, well, there's birth, death, disease, old age. She said, oh, you're so fatalistic. No, Mom, we're realistic. These things are happening. We just don't like to talk about them. We don't like to think about them. We think like the ostrich with the head in the sand. Okay, if I don't see danger, it goes away. So the Bhagavad Gita will give us this kind of perspective that life without spirituality has no purpose. It's not dealing with the real challenges. Why do we have to take birth? None of us signed up to the form to take birth. I want to be this nationality, this gender, this type of body, this country, nothing. We just, boom, there we are. Why is that? I used to ask my Sunday school teacher, why? Some kids are born rich, some are poor, some are healthy, some are sick. And it says God loves the children. Why does he seem to be playing favorites? You know what she said? That's the mystery of God. In other words, you can never understand. But if we read Bhagavad Gita and we hear and we learn, then we can see, oh, this is a result of what I have done in my past life. If we want to see our karma, we just look in the mirror. Here we are. And so that's important to understand, but more important is to realize whatever we do now is creating our next situation. So that's a little motivating. Like if I'm going to be slack now in this life, I'm not going to bother with understanding God, then I'll just have to come back and do it again. And it's no fun. There's fun, but it's eclipsed by the unfun things, right? So this is the purpose of human life, like Shamananda Prabhu said, gaining purpose by chanting. I live on a little farm in Florida, and we have a couple of cows. So a few years ago, one of the cows gave birth, and that calf was standing up on her feet within 30 minutes. Shaky, but standing and suckling. So, but when we see a human baby born, they can't even get their head off the mat for 6 weeks, right? It's this gigantic head and a little tiny body. That should give us a clue. What is the human body meant for? It's meant for understanding what's going on. Why am I in this cycle of birth and death? What can I do to really put an end to my problems? What can I do to really stop this inherent, incessant process of getting old and getting sick and dying and being reborn? Christianity has talks about heaven and hell. Many faiths might talk about heaven and hell. When Prabhupada was asked this question, he said, hell is London. So we could also say hell is Lansing, right? Because everyone here wants to live forever, and everyone here is going to be dying at some point. No matter what we do, no matter what we say. So the Gita lifts us above this bodily conception of life. We are the eternal beings that occupy these temporary lives. We are not the bodies themselves. So this is a good way to be motivated, to see the miseries of life, but even more so to enjoy the pleasures that come from serving God. That is the purpose of the Atma. This is Dharma, Sanatana Dharma. Okay. Very nice question. Thank you. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. So, Prabhuji, besides the Krishna lives in our heart next to our spirit soul, what are the signs that one can experience that Krishna's mercy on one for a devotee?
What are the signs that one can experience one is getting Krishna's mercy?
Yeah.
It's interesting, and it's a good question, because we tend to think that getting Krishna's mercy means everything should be nice, right? And yet if you look at Queen Kunti, what happened in her life? One problem after the next, right? So at the end of that, she was saying, Krishna, when these problems come, we think of you. So if we're going to be thinking of you, we'd rather have problems than have no problems and forget you. So Krishna's mercy does not necessarily come in the form of wealth or health or prestige. It comes in the form of surrender. When Krishna helps us surrender to Him, then we are actually receiving His mercy. Why? Because when we surrender, we accept Krishna, we are serving Krishna with faith, we feel blissful, even in the midst of difficult situations. So it's important to understand this distinction. A lot of contemporary religion is centered around the idea of prosperity gospel. That if we are right with God, then we'll have money and we'll be rich. And so send in a donation right now to be right with God. We see this in many pujas in India as well. Right? That people will go to the temple and offer some donation and think, okay, now Krishna, now I've done my part, you please. I've given my rupees, you please give me lakhs. Like Sudama. There's a story in the Judeo-Christian side about a miser. His whole life he was an atheist. Never had any time for God, no interest. But he was getting older and he thought, maybe, just in case. So he went to the church, he put $5 in the collection plate. Shortly after that he died. And then he ascended to the pearly gates of heaven. And there was St. Peter. He said, what are you doing here? I put my $5 in the basket. St. Peter said, let me check my records. Wait here. Then he came back a few minutes later. He said, here, take your lousy $5 and go to hell. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam it says, Dharmasya Vyapavargasya, that spirituality should never be performed for material gain. And if in the course of one's spiritual life one gets material gain, one should not use it for sense gratification, for self. One should use it for the service of the Lord. So this is the best answer I can see to your question. Krishna's mercy may come in any number of ways. He may make it easy, he may make it difficult. We should know that really mercy of Krishna is present when we are thinking of Him, and we are serving Him, and we are feeling some love for Him. That's what will be important when we leave this body. One of my friends was telling me, he said, there was a man who had a valuable pocket watch. And his friend said, oh, that's a beautiful watch. Where did you get it? He said, my grandfather sold it to me on his deathbed. He's dying, but he sells. So, yes. Krishna's mercy means we know nothing in this world is going to last. What we need when we're leaving this body is to remember Him. Because he says in the Gita, the whole 8th chapter is devoted to this topic. One who remembers me as they're leaving this body attains to me, without a doubt, and ends this suffering of birth and death in this world. Okay. Thank you. All right. Anything else? So let's see. What would you like to do? We have 2 more minutes.
10 more minutes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Madhukar Prabhupada. I have a question. Like we mentioned that Krishna name is very sweet, and sweet attracts the people. So why Krishna consciousness is very hard for the people? People are not very much attractive, and people get the repulsion when you approach to them. So then, like the honey trap, then it attracts the honey, right? The sweetness, wherever the flowers get by the honeys, it's very easy. And we know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even though we are the fool, Kim Kartabhya Vimudha. Then why the people are doing mistake by their own self?
People are knowingly drinking poison, as Narottam Das Thakur prayed. You see, people are accustomed to the materialistic way of life. And when they see a devotee of God coming, they see death personified. Because their whole way of life is being questioned and challenged. And so naturally people are not immediately prone to just hear about spiritual messages. However, Krishna says, Manusyanam sahasreshu. Out of thousands of materialistic people, one will be interested in spiritual life. And even if thousands who are interested in spiritual life, only one may know Krishna in full. So it's a rare person. It's a rare person. Therefore, we should not be discouraged if most people don't take up our spiritual practices. We can offer, but we understand that it will just be that one rare soul who will really respond. In sales, there is an ethic called collecting no's. The salesman is going and offering product to many people, and most is no, 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 no. So the experienced salesman knows, I'm going to need 19 no's for every yes. So I'm not getting rejected, I'm collecting no's. Because the price of one yes is 19 no's, you see? So we should not be discouraged because we're pleasing Krishna very much just by trying to introduce people to the process of bhakti. Chatasmin manuseshu kaschin me prikritama. Krishna says in the 18th chapter that no one is more dear to me than one who tries to teach this message of Bhagavad Gita. Now, another point to consider is how do we teach? How do we teach? If we come in to a relationship and saying, okay, I want to teach you about spirituality. This will be, that's right, most people will sneeze. It's like they're allergic to that, you know? And so rather we have to come in and say, tell me about yourself. Tell me about your life. What are your struggles? What's going on with you? We need to hear first before we share what we have to share. The simple reason is that people don't care what we know until they know that we care. And when we ask people about their lives, we ask them about themselves, we get to know them a little bit, then we can see how bhakti might benefit them. Let's say they're suffering from depression. Depression means tamaguna, means you're looking backwards, just hung up with something from the past. So we can offer. I found this chanting has been really good for my depression. How would you like to try? You see, something like that. We get to know. The point is we get to know before we just start promoting our mission. Does that make sense? Yeah, make friends. We make friends first. And then when people become friendly with devotees, their material life is finished. All right? Does that answer your question?
Okay.
Yeah, and it's wonderful. I mean, I assume I'm just gathering you're one of the leaders of this Sangha. I can see you putting up this and doing that. And it certainly can be discouraging. Just imagine how Srila Prabhupada felt. Right? How he was so alone and had nothing but the holy name to offer. And no idea how to present it to this new country. I'd like to end by singing that bhajan. Is that okay? Would you like this little meditation on Prabhupada? Okay, one more question.
Yeah, sorry, I have one.
Okay.
So, we have always heard from Prabhuji okay, so I'll say my question. Does the number of times we take holy name, like if I'm singing in a tune, I'm doing kirtan, let's say I'm doing one mantra in one complete minute. But in that minute, maybe, let's say if I'm able to chant the same mantra for more number of times. Is there a comparison? Which one? Because when I see Krishna from my heart, to be honest, there is a motherliness thing that comes naturally. So when I sing to him, it's more like in my brain sometimes I don't want to say too much because I cannot express it. But sometimes I'm feeding him, sometimes I'm running behind him, and I cannot express. But if there is no tune or less tune when I'm chanting the name, I am easily distracted.
So having a tune is important for your meditation.
Yeah, my question is, in the same minute, if I'm able to say more names, but in the same minute, if I'm adding tune to my mantra, it's keeping me more engaged with Krishna.
Yes,
So,
yes.
comparison.
I understand what Chaitanya said. In other words, rather than Hare Krishna, you would like to Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. That works better for you. Lord Chaitanya said there's no hard and fast rules for chanting. Okay, so if one way is working better, then that's perfectly fine. Just be open-minded and prepared to evolve. Okay? In our ISKCON Sangha, we have a minimum of 16 rounds, which is, most people takes 1.5 to 2.5 hours. Okay? It's a big investment of time, but it's not important. No one has to achieve that level. What is important, if we're actually coming closer to Krishna, there'll be a natural detachment from materialism. We won't want to eat meat. We won't want to do mundane things. We won't have any interest in self-medicating with any substances. We'll be very content within ourselves. So that's the test of true advancement in spiritual life. So yes, no hard and fast rules. Okay. Do we have time? Or maybe it's time?
Probably we have time.
We have time? Okay. So we'll just end with about a 10-minute Bhajan. This was a poem that Srila Prabhupada, everyone knows who Srila Prabhupada is? So Srila Prabhupada, at my age, 70, sailed on this cargo ship from India and almost died. But when they reached America, they first stopped briefly in Boston. So the captain invited Srila Prabhupada to get off the boat and come and see Boston, which he did. And when he got back on the boat, he wrote the Bengali poem that we're going to sing now. Okay? And this bhajan he called Martini Bhagavad Dharma. That means teaching bhakti in America. And we'll see in this the incredible determination and surrender that a true devotee will have.
He has a question.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead with the bhajan and then we'll see more questions. Guru Kripa Kaili Krishna Adamir Prati Yani Veda Koro Egati Guru Krishna my most dear and kind Lord Krishna, though I don't know why you have brought me to this place to act as you decide. My most dear and kind Lord Krishna, though I don't know why Ache Kitu Kajatava Anumane Nahe Teno Anibe Ugrastane Surely you have business here that I don't understand. Otherwise, why would you bring me to this awful land? Surely you have business here that I don't understand. Otherwise, why would you bring all the land? Shana Vasudeva Kataruchi Nahe Se Prasana People here enjoy their bodies, living in the mode. How can they see Krishna's thought will satisfy their soul? Tabe Jari Taba Kripa Hoya Hoy Tuki Sakali Sambhava Hoy Tumi Se Come Tuki You are most compassionate, the transcendental mystic. Therefore, the impossible will soon be realistic. You are most compassionate, the transcendental mystic. When will they learn how this bhakti rasa benefits them? Only by your mercy could I possibly convince them. How this bhakti rasa Tabaipcha Hoyachari Tadirauda Ujibe Nishai Tabe Kutase Noma Tabaipcha Hoyachari Please relieve these fallen souls, for if you so desire, they will gain the insight from your words that they require. These fallen souls, if you so desire, they will gain How can I persuade them being fallen and alone? Only you can do it. I am helpless on my own. How can I persuade them being Prabhu Kata Bolivare Jeko Marisha Prabhu Akoro Eivare Nejo Prabhu Kata Bolivare Jeko Somehow, Lord, you brought me here to teach them about you. My success or failure now will happen as you choose. Somehow, Lord, you brought me here to teach them about you. Bhajan Alantita Ori Bhatamata message will be heard. Guru of the universe, I simply speak the words. You energize my speech, your message will be heard. Baba Kripa Alemo Kata Sudhabe Shuniya Sabara Shoka Dukkha Se Gujide Baba Kripa Alemo Kata Sudhabe Shuniya Sabara By your mercy, everything I say will grow more pure. Then their miseries will vanish. Of that I am have such a great Acharya, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Thank you for following him here in Lansing, being part of his mission, taking advantage of his kindness, and utilizing the holy name to benefit your spiritual life. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
So we'll move on then? Okay. Almost Arti? Okay, jai.